Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to episode 1, season 4 of the Delegate to Innovate podcast. You guys know me, your host, Ryan Angott, and I'm honored and privileged to have my first family member as a guest, my uncle, Mark Angott. Uncle Mark, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here.
How are you doing today?
Doing great. Sun's out. It's all good.
I love it. I love it. We were just chit-chatting about golf. This guy is a golf aficionado. He has had 2 hole-in-ones
That's correct.
within the same 2 weeks.
1 week.
1 week.
Yes.
1 week. Now, everyone knows we're going to get into the story about your background. That is an exquisite golfer's tale. A lot of our listeners are golfers. Describe, and you never had one in your life. You've been golfing about 50 years, maybe?
Yeah. Yeah. 50
And
years.
then 2 in 1 week. Like, what went through your mind, and walk us through
Well,
that
it,
briefly.
it was amazing. The first one was at Khaki Cousins at Oakland University, and I didn't see it because it's a sloped uh, par three, 180 yards, and four hybrids. So it was a long hole. It's 180.
Yeah, yeah.
Didn't see it. My partner, my buddy found it, and we celebrated, took pictures. So excited that I got to the tee box. I used the same ball and hit it in the woods.
Oh,
But
you did? I didn't know
but
that. That's
luckily he
great.
went in and found it and said,
Okay.
"Put this in your bag, put it away." So then finished that round, and then 5 days later, and of course I sent tons of texts out and pictures, and everybody congratulated me, and I bought the drinks for everybody, and
Yeah.
then 5 days later I got another one at Greystone, number 12, and it was the same club, same yardage, believe it or not. This one we did see going in, but I didn't believe it because
Yeah.
it was
Like, what are
November
the
1st and November 5th. They said that can't be. So I sent more texts out to people. Hey, I got another one. And they said, yeah, we know you told us already. I said, no, I got a second one.
I love it.
It was pretty amazing to go that many years and get one in 5 days, 2 in 5 days, and may never get another one. Who knows?
2 in 5 days. Well, basically, how you've been playing lately, probably not, based on what you told me.
No, you never
I,
know.
I'm kidding. You'll
You
come
never know.
around.
Sorry.
And the newspaper picked up on that little story, didn't they? Like the local
Yeah,
press
well,
or
it got a little, little hype. So,
little
yeah,
hype. That's cute. That's a great story.
yeah,
Well, I'm holding one less, but I got hopefully another 40, 50
yeah, a
years of
long way
golf.
to go. See,
I got a long ways to go, but that's awesome. I love it. We've played golf many times at Wingate. Um, So for the audience, my uncle Mark is a entrepreneur, started his business. Now I'm gonna say I remember when you worked across from me when I was at St. John in Rochester.
right?
I
That
think
was my original office.
that was your first office.
Hmm.
That was about 40 years ago. No, maybe
It
35
was
years
in
ago.
1981.
That's my birthday, 42 years.
See, so that's when I started in the business in 1981 and stumbled into the search business because I don't think anybody goes to school thinking they're going to be a headhunter. I mean, it's just
Yeah,
maybe some people get an HR degree and think they might get into the search business, but not many. It's
yeah.
just so we draft people, recruit them, we teach them our business. I didn't have any clue what I was getting into when I stumbled into it in 1981, and obviously have had a little bit of success in it.
Yeah, that's a great. And ironically, here as your nephew, now I'm actually in the very different headhunting business and
Yeah,
virtual assistants in the Philippines, wildly different, but we're still providing low cost staffing to do administrative social media tasks. So
exactly.
I have a little sense of placing people. But tell us how you started. Like, I love your story. And I'm in a service based business with the VA company. I'm also in you know, a tech lock business of selling computer accessories. Wildly different. Both have pros and cons. And like your brother, my dad and partner, you guys have had such different lenses, paths in life. Both have had success in their own perspective. I think you have a hell of a lot more life balance that I aspire to at some point: vacations, golf, family
Yeah,
time. He's a crazy workaholic
I
inventor.
know.
But tell us how it started, how you got here 42 years later, and just some nuggets of wisdom that you could share with
So
anybody in the
I have
service.
to be honest with you. People say, was this planned? And it wasn't planned. I literally stumbled into this business because I was intrigued by the person I worked for. And a lot of people are like that. It's maybe not the company all the time. It's you like the person, right? You're attracted to the guy. And I worked for my mentor at the time was named Dennis Sullivan. Dennis has passed away years ago, but had an interesting business. He was president of Vlasic Foods, and he gave up that nest egg when when Vlasic got sold to Campbell Foods, and he took his little nest egg and bought a search firm of all things. So he made a drastic life change, and I joined him 6 months after he opened up this franchise, and I was really intrigued by the guy. He's
Hmm.
a top-notch guy, and I learned from him. We we grew quickly. He taught me the business. We started a separate business of executive search. A few years later, we had two offices going, two businesses, and he sold me this franchise in 1990, and I took it over and have
Ah,
grown it since. So I had a, it was interesting because literally over a course of a month, he walked in one day and says, "I'm going to sell you this business." Actually, I bought it out of royalties. I mean, it worked out great for me and our family. I didn't have to lay a lot of money out, and I was the big producer at the time. But if
mm,
you could imagine, I was one of the guys back then. There was, I think we had like 8 people in our office, and one day he
yeah.
literally came in and said, "Mark's going to take over the office." And I
How
went from
did
being one of the
everyone else
guys to being the
do it?
boss, and that was very unique. You
Was
know,
that hard?
yeah, it was a challenge because you're one of the buddies, and then sometimes you got
Right,
to make decisions. Um,
right.
and I probably was not a good leader then, Ryan. I mean, I was so focused on my practice because
Yeah.
my practice paid all the bills.
You mean your
I knew that
client,
if I
your
if I was the
client.
big producer, we were
Yeah,
going to do fine. So I
yeah.
probably wasn't a very good leader. I didn't listen. I was just I was micro focused on my business. And
Your
then
deals.
yes, I had all these other people, and I learned a lot of that over time, to start listening to the team and developing the team and hiring the team and growing the team and bringing on the support staff and all the things to grow a business. And that now we have 28 people. So it's
Right.
it's a whole different environment.
How did you learn along the way? Was it just trial and error? Did you go to
A lot of
classes?
trial and error. Yeah,
Yeah.
it really was.
Ooh,
And,
hard knocks.
and trial and error, looking at successful people and successful leaders, and then you know finding out what's important in life and what isn't, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, it is trial and error.
Yeah. Well, I can relate. I mean, going from I did, big game, big cybersecurity sales
Yes,
back at Silence. I was worried about Ryan Angott and making deals. Now I got 10 other people to worry about and
that's right.
coach them and guide them. So I can feel you. That's a whole different skill
It
set.
is it's a whole different skill set, and a whole different time management then gets to be critical. And as
Yeah.
you know, JT is my successor here, and he's taking over a lot. And if you talk to him, he'd say the same. He walks into me some days and says, "How did you do it? How did you run your own practice, your own desk, and then
Yeah.
manage all these people and have all these administrative tasks?" Well, one, you have to have a good team, right? You have to have people you can delegate to. But it was really hard in the beginning because you are focused on your own deals because those are paying the bills a lot and
Yeah.
driving a lot of your income. Yet you have a team to support that is relying on you for advice and guidance and leadership, and you have to give them the right time.
Yeah. So how do you tell me more? I mean, you do executive recruiting and you've done a lot in the financial industry. I know you
Right.
guys do more than that now, which we can get into. I view now I'm in the VA game, very competitive, lot of there's just a lot of competition. I'm not so sure in your niche of executive recruiting. I mean, there's competition everywhere, but how have you guys really broken away at ASG? ASG is Angott Search Group. How have you broken away and really separate yourselves from competitors in your opinion?
Good question. The whole key to our business is relationships. It's all about relationships, and probably true for any business. It's all about relationships, developing those relationships. I've been blessed, Ryan, that out of our team of 28 people, I'd have to do the numbers, but we've had 10 or 12 people that are here over 20 years. So we have a tremendous amount of tenure and experience, and that's great for client relationships because it is about relationships. So um, that's what we try to teach our people: do the business the right way, um, take care of your clients, treat them with honesty, integrity, respect. Put yourself in their shoes. I mean, do what's best for them, not what's best for your pocketbook. And in the long run, that'll pay off. And that's how we've grown our business. And tried to hire people. And, we're primarily doing middle and senior management search. Um, and it's some is contingency searches, some is retained search, but it's in heavy in financial services. That's probably 70% of our business because it's always been my own. It's
Yeah.
been financial services. And out of our 28 people, about 65% of our revenues is financial services. both the amount of people and the clients. And then we have a group that does automotive and industrial. We have two that do legal. We have one that does IT.
Mhm.
So we're fairly diverse, yet financial services is a big part of our practice. But again, it's middle and senior management positions, and it's all about building the relationships and the repeat business so that you're not constantly chasing and chasing and chasing new stuff. Even though you always got to get new business, it's you
Yeah.
got to take care of your client base.
Yeah. Now you're in the kind of the next, I would say, chapter of your career where you were running, like my dad, 100 miles an hour, 12
Mhm.
hours a day, grinding. You built this really nice business. Now you're in this, okay, you're handing it off to JT, who obviously I know very well, and you've got Stephanie and other
Mhm.
family involved. How do you mentally, I would think that would be challenging because you're so used to running the show 12 hours a day. How did you handle that kind of handoff process, or which you're still in the middle of?
So here's what we did. A few years ago, I brought in some friends of mine that are an HR consulting firm, and I told them what we wanted to do. We wanted to have a succession plan where JT would be the successor. Stephanie would have a key role as kind of being his chief of staff, so to speak, chief
Yeah,
operations officer, whatever you want to call her.
yeah,
And that I would unwind down. So it's gone great. I couldn't think it could go any better. The consulting firm came in, they interviewed our entire senior management team. Everybody bought in. One, they liked JT and staff, but two, they believed they were the right people to take over. So my role now as chairman and CEO, I'm in, if I'm here, I'm in the mornings and I'm golfing the rest of the day. Uh, I'm in all day Monday because the club's closed, frankly.
right, right,
But and Monday's kind of our meeting day, but the rest of the week I'm in and out. As
yeah,
you know, I go to Florida and Marco Island a lot. I'm leaving
yeah,
this Wednesday till Monday. But you know how technology is in days. My role now is bring in some business and hand it off. I'm
yeah,
involved in all the key strategic decisions. If my team needs me for a deal or they want to bounce something off me, well, they just send me a text or a Teams message and say, "Hey,
yeah,
I want to bounce something off you." I'm still involved in a lot of the client meetings, even though I don't do any of the work. You know,
yeah,
I'm the face.
yeah. You're the face,
So,
the
so
founder.
this week on Thursday we have a board that we're talking to because we're doing a CEO search. It's a weekly call. I'll be on the call, even though I'll be in Florida. They don't know
Yeah,
where I am.
yeah,
It doesn't matter, and nobody even cares where you are these days.
yeah. Right, right.
So I'll be on those calls. All the decisions we make, we have a five-person management team, and we make them all together. I don't make any decisions by myself. Even JT doesn't. It's all team decisions. And I can't even remember if there was the last time that I had to break a tie. I mean, we're almost all know where the business needs to go, know what we need to do. If we're hiring somebody, the team interviews everybody. It's a group decision, and almost
Wow.
everything is. We uh, we had a major database conversion, which we finished in December. We had a six-person team. They did everything and came up with the right solution. So that's how we make the decisions here. And it seems to work.
Sounds too good to be true, honestly, because now I'm working with family, and we don't always see eye to eye. I mean, there's my dad will want to zig, we zag, we work it out. I mean, there's a lot
Right.
of a zillion
Mhm.
little decisions we make, but some big ones. So it if you have a major decision, like you want to go hire a big new key employee, how does that start? Is that coming from JT? Is it coming from you? Like how
Well,
how are you going through that motion and working through that
I
family
interviewed
dynamic?
somebody today, this morning. Um, I'm the first person, and the only reason I'm first is because I got the most time.
Yeah,
JT is working 100 miles an hour because he's running his own practice.
yeah,
He's the leader, he's the technology guy, he's the everything.
yeah.
So I told the team I have more time than anybody. So I do a Teams call first. I actually like this person, and then I'll have Stephanie and one of our other senior team leaders be next. And
Hmm.
then if they like him, like her, JT will be a final interview. And that's only
Hmm.
because it's in a certain practice. We'll have those two people. If it's another practice, we'd have some other team members. But we usually
Hmm.
have three steps. But um, I'm first in this case.
Yeah.
But it'll be a team consensus, and like almost anything, anybody could veto.
Okay. So one person vetoes, it's not a fit
Pretty much. I mean,
usually.
if somebody was on the fence, we might move forward. But pretty much, we're always usually in sync.
Yeah.
you
That's
know.
a great dynamic and culture you've built. Very family focused, friendly, and it seems like
Yeah.
it's worked great for you.
And
That's
it's
not
not
always
that
the case
everybody
in
doesn't
family.
have different opinions. Like
Yeah,
when we have a senior management meeting every Monday. It's Monday, middle of the day, and we're always bouncing ideas off everybody. And it's not like everybody agrees to everything, but
sure.
for the most part, we work things out. We very rarely have anything that everybody doesn't agree on.
Yeah. So you've put in a lot of time in the business. Where do you see ASG going in like the next 5 years?
I think our company will grow. What's happening in the search business is I think it's getting harder for a lot of lone wolves. So what's happened in our business is people get successful and people would go out on their own because they'd be big billers and they'd say,
Right.
why do I want to split the commissions up with the house? I have my own clients. I can get 100% of the take versus splitting it up. Um, it's getting harder to do that because of the way the uh, corporate America is working. They, they, I think they want people that are credibility. They've been in business. If there's a problem, they know they're going to be there.
Yeah.
That there's issues, they've got somebody to deal with. If there's legal issues, so it's getting harder for some of the lone wolves. And I've actually hired a couple of people that had their own firms and would rather be in a bigger firm. If, for example, we just hired a guy back. He just started 2 weeks ago and he was with us for about 4 years, 4 years, was successful. He left 3 years ago, 3 or 4, went out on his own, which we didn't care. We had a great relationship. We let him,
Yeah.
we didn't, he did all the right things. He went out and called us up about 2 months ago, said, I'd like to come back. It's just, I don't like working on my own. I don't want to be a lone wolf. It's hard.
Yeah. Yeah. I
You're
get
sitting in
it.
your house every day, you got nobody to
Yeah.
talk to, you
Yeah.
can't kick the cat, it's like
Yeah. Yeah.
I need
Yeah.
people to bounce ideas off of.
Right.
We
Right.
give you lots of support and help,
Yeah.
and backroom support and yeah. And he said, yeah, I miss all that.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. What's the climate of the executive staffing industry? Obviously, we've seen virtual VAs since COVID has been a boom. It's why part of the reason why I got involved with that business. But what is the current state of executive recruitment right now?
Well,
Um,
some people will say that it's harder to recruit because there's LinkedIn, there's Indeed, there's all these job boards you see posted all over the world, right? And they say, well, we're going to use them. Why pay a recruiter 25%, and you know, with an average salary going up and up and up and up, right? So let's
yeah.
just say it was 100, that's 25,000. So they'll say, why do I want to pay that if I can go find the people? But we'll tell a lot of clients, it's one thing. There's parts of our business. It's one thing to attract candidates. You can do that on getting candidates out of LinkedIn and Indeed, whatever the board is you're using,
Yep.
ZipRecruiter now. That's a portion of the business. The other part, which is the hardest part, is getting them from A to Z, getting the candidates on board, interviewed, screened, checked, vetted, and on board and starting,
Yeah.
because it's just a different world out here. And
Yeah.
it's one thing to get a candidate's name, but getting them on board, counseling them to get an offer. What's the right offer? Getting them to
Yeah.
start and finish that's more than getting the candidates. It's the other half of the battle.
Hmm.
That's what we
Yeah.
do well.
An arduous process
It
that's
is.
changed
And it's the
with time.
process that most of the clients don't understand. And
Sure.
HR sometimes gets it, sometimes they don't.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, you've built a hell of a business over your career. If you had to go back, do it all over again, now we're starting to get into some more little personal topics. If you had to change anything, what would it be? And the next part is that what advice do you give to the younger generation that wants to be in the staffing business?
I don't know if I could change it any better. I mean, I am so blessed. One, that I have family that can take over the business because since I'm in a franchise business and there's 300 other owners that I relate to all the time and go to meetings with, a lot of them don't have that. And they don't have anybody to turn their business over or gradually unwind like I do. Like I said, how many hours do I work? I don't know. Maybe I'm here 20, 25 hours, but sometimes more, sometimes less. It
Yeah,
just
whatever
depends
you want.
where
Yeah.
I'm going, where I'm golfing,
Yeah.
where Don and I are vacationing or traveling to. So, so very fortunate to have family that I can turn it over to and know that not only turn it over to, but the business is going to thrive. and continue to grow without me being here. I couldn't, you know me, I couldn't retire fully. I would go crazy. As you know, I'm still coaching. I mean, so
Yeah.
I'm always on the go because that's what
Yeah.
I like to do. So I could never just be home. I would climb the walls. I literally
Yeah.
climb the walls. So I
Sure.
always have to be doing something and going somewhere. So this fits perfectly. If
Yeah.
I'm here and I can help out. If I'm not, I'm doing things that I want to do. Um, so I'm very fortunate in that regard that we had family because not everybody has that built-in transition plan to maybe unwind um, and work part-time. You know, some people you either got to
You got to sell
cut
or
them
go
down
up.
or you know, so that's pretty lucky.
If you didn't have family, would you end up just selling ASG? Is
Yeah,
that?
you probably would if you didn't have a key producer that you trusted. It's all
Yeah.
about trust, right?
No.
Then you'd probably be forced to sell. Yeah. And I wouldn't if you sell, you're pretty much out of it. I know a lot of people sell their businesses and they make money and get out. I wouldn't want to do that. But
Yeah.
so that worked out. I mean, and the other things you learn along the way, you learn how to build a business, you learn what's important. To us, culture, it's all about culture here.
Hmm.
If you're going to bring in team and we've been fortunate to grow. We've had two acquisitions in the last year. And that's because we were successful and people knew me and us.
Hmm.
I shouldn't say me, it's us. And
Hmm.
they reached out to us about acquiring their firms. And we were able to acquire a firm in Florida and one in Minnesota and they were people that knew us, were right in our space, right in our wheelhouse, and they were perfect acquisitions.
Hmm.
Um, they wouldn't have done that if we didn't have successful business. But even with that, it's all about culture,
Hmm.
finding people that fit as the part of the team.
Hmm.
Um, and you learn that the hard way. I mean, I go back years ago when I first took over and I hired some people and groomed them and they didn't fit the culture at all. Yet they were pretty good producers and I
Yeah.
didn't want to let them go because they were paying bills,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Producing. And that was a
Yeah.
really poor decision I made. It was
Yeah.
terrible decisions because finally, after I had to let them go because, well, they left. That's another story, but um, they basically did all the wrong things and left. But the day they left, people walked in and said, that couldn't have been soon enough.
Oh, really? And you
Yeah,
didn't really know that
they
until they
knew
were
they
gone.
didn't fit. Everybody knew they didn't fit. There was two of them. And I said, I know, but inexperience, told me I just need to keep them around. And it was all the wrong decisions, for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Because people that fit your culture drive the business the correct way.
Yeah.
So I learned it the hard way. And
Yeah. That's a great story. I'm not a big reader, but one of the books I remember reading was Culture Eats Strategy for Breakfast. And it was all about, the right team makes all the
right,
difference in the world and having
it
the right
is.
DNA, which you nailed down over many years of being in the business. That's awesome.
And it relates to our clients because being in the business long, we get to know a lot of our clients really well. Maybe
Sure.
we've placed the CEO, maybe we've placed a lot of the senior leaders. And we really know their culture well, and to the point where you could call the client and say, "You need to see this person," and we'll send a resume over, and they'll say, "Wow, we don't know if they fit this or that." And I'll say, "No, trust us.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're going to fit your culture, and they have this, and that,
Yeah.
and that's what people hire on.
Yeah.
It's
That's a great
chemistry and
example.
culture. They don't, it's one thing to get a job fit and check all the boxes. It's the other thing to find people that fit in with your values and your culture and your style, and
Yeah.
then actually that's what makes a search term good is to match that up, not just checking boxes on a resume.
That depth of knowing those clients that intimately, and then saying like, yeah, it's hard to stand out in a resume, but to
That's
know
right.
how someone is or what they say and say like, yeah, they're a great fit for this bank, or
That's right.
that's a great
Right.
example.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
exactly.
makes it
Yeah.
different. I love it. Well, we got about 5 minutes left. We're going to do a little lightning round to get to know Mark Angott a little bit more personally. We know he's got two holes in one. That's awesome. You're one short of Grandpa Pete, right?
Yes.
He had three. Our beloved grandfather, his dad, who passed about 20
I don't
years
know if I'll
ago.
ever get
And
another one to catch him, but I'll give it a try.
yeah, give it a try. Um, Couple random questions. Give me the most unusual job you've ever had in your life.
That I've
Before
had?
you were before you're a recruiter, give me the most unusual job you've had in your life.
Oh, that's an easy one. I worked when I was in college for a company downriver Detroit that did sandblasting.
Hmm.
And
That's cool.
it was an industrial cleaning company. And my
Hmm.
buddy Mike and I got hired as the college kids, and we would go down and literally they would put us into these big paint vats down in for the auto suppliers, and we'd literally chisel off, paint off the walls in these paint vats. Then we'd sandblast them. It was highly toxic and
Yeah.
dangerous, but
Sounds
we didn't
bad.
know better. We were in college and
Yeah.
did dirty work, but it was a very unusual job for sure.
Hopefully they paid you decent. That sounds gritty as all
Well,
can be.
back in those days, it was better than working at McDonald's.
Yeah. Yeah. So you just stayed all day in a paint vat and just pop. You just sandblasted.
Yeah, or we'd be we had one job and we were in the Rawsonville Ford plant and we were chiseling rubber off a paint vat where they dipped the fenders in, and the rubber would be about an inch thick on the vats, and
Yeah.
they dipped these fenders in them. And then we had an air gun that had a chisel about this long and about this, and we'd take an air hammer and peel off rubber strips. And by if you do that about an hour, your arm was just throbbing
I bet.
because you had this big gun in your
Yeah.
hand,
Yeah.
and it was pretty wild to say the least.
Well, makes you aspire to get an education, start your own business. You're not
It
doing
was
that
very
forever.
inspiring to go back to school and get good grades and move on in life.
I love it. Couple more. If you could have any, if you could have a dinner with any celebrity or athlete right now, who would it be?
Wow, that's a good one. Uh,
I mean, coming fresh off the Masters, I thought you might
well,
be
yeah,
leaning.
no, I was just going to say Scotty Scheffler would be at the top of the list too, or one of the golfing, the top golfers. It would probably be somebody like that. Like Scheffler's on this. He just won again today. He's on this
Yeah,
amazing run. It'd be pretty interesting to sit down and since I'm really into golf to talk to him. Um, you know, there's probably some other top athletes that you could probably put up there that'd be pretty cool too.
Gotti's a unique. I didn't. He's such a humble guy.
That's what I
Unbelievable.
like about him.
Yeah,
He's not flashy. He's a family guy. He's excited because he's going to have his first child, as you can relate, in 2 weeks, and he talks about it. He talks
yeah.
about his family. He talks about, he gave a speech at the Masters, and I don't know if you heard it when he was done. He talked about his mom and dad and the values that they had. It was
Oh yeah,
awesome. I
yeah.
mean, it was really awesome. And he could have kind of stood up and said, "Look at me! I've just won the Masters for the second time." And
Right.
none of that is what he talked about. So
Yeah,
it was really humbling.
yeah. No, I agree. He wouldn't be my. I would love having dinner with him. He wouldn't be my top, just because I want someone animated and more.
Yeah, right.
He's kind of a low key guy, but hell of a story. So we'll put Scotty as a maybe. And my last question would be, um, if you had your last 18 holes in your life, we're staying on the golf topic because you're Mr. Golfer. Name the course, and if you have or have not played it, what would be it? That actually two-part question. It could be any course in the world, and then secondly, what is your favorite course you ever played in your life?
Well, I've been very fortunate there. So the answer to the question is probably Pebble Beach
In the world.
in the
Wow.
world. But I'm part of a group of four couples that we do every Memorial Day. We started 6, 7 years ago. My buddy Tom said, "I want to go to Scotland," and I said, "Yeah, we got to do it. I'm in." And we made it a couples thing. So we did St. Andrews, Kingsbarn, and I know we've done that.
Yeah.
Carnoustie, and that started a tradition. And since then, we've done Palm Desert, Sea Island, Kiowa, which has the ocean course, Pebble Beach, um, and last year we did Pinehurst. So we've done a lot of the top resorts in the country, and the ocean course would be right up there. There's a course in Nevada called Wolf Creek, which would be right up there. Um, but Pebble Beach has the kind of mystique of Pebble Beach. That's the only reason I say that. There's probably 5 or 6 courses that I would put in that category. They're phenomenal. The ocean course at Kiowa was phenomenal. Pinehurst number 2, where the
Yeah.
US Open is going to be phenomenal. But Pebble Beach has a mystique of Aurora Pebble Beach that, and the scenery is just incredible. So,
Yeah, it's on my
you
bucket.
know,
So Pebble Beach would be the best you've ever played, and like you'd probably say the best in the world in your opinion.
yeah, yeah,
Top
yeah.
five.
It's right there. I mean, there's a lot of them that I'd put right in that category, but Pebble Beach
You have
probably
a
is.
you have a big one you haven't checked off the list yet that you're like, I'm dying to go this place and
Well, I have
oh,
a, yeah, we have some that we want to go, but you should see if you come in my family room. I forgot who gave me that. I think Shannon got me a real cool a map of the United States,
hmm.
and it's got the top 200 golf courses, and
Yeah.
and you put pins in them
Yeah,
of
I've
which
seen
ones
that.
you
That's
played.
cool. Yeah.
It's really cool, and then which ones
Yeah.
you want to play.
Yeah.
So I think out of the 200 there, I got like 25 of them, something like that.
That you've played.
That I've played, yeah.
Well, you got a little ways to go. You got
I
175.
know. Well, it's hard because they're all over the place,
Yeah, yeah.
you know.
Well, I love it. I want to follow in your footsteps on the golf trajectory of the bucket list. I'm a little busy right now, so I'm still playing at Red Run locally as
Well, you
much
got
as I.
it's hard to do that with the little kids.
Oh, yeah, the kids, two businesses, life,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
tough, but
no.
I'll get there someday. So, well, Uncle Mark, thank you so much. That concludes our episode of Innovate to Delegate to Innovate. Thank you so much for being a guest, and look forward to playing some golf this year.
We'll definitely do it.
All right, sounds
Thanks.
good.